Hi, gorgeous human. How are you doing today? I want to talk to you today about living in alignment. What does it really entail to live in alignment? How do you know when you're out of alignment in your life or in your business? And how to get back in alignment if you feel like you're out of alignment, right? Now, the first thing is that alignment is like a buzzword that we hear that is thrown around a lot. And most of us don't really understand what alignment is and how it feels to be in alignment and how it feels when you're out of alignment and what to do if you catch yourself being out of alignment. So today I'm going to talk to you about that. If you're new to my world, welcome. I'm Sonita. And this question, I actually got these questions on one of my YouTube videos. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this training on Facebook because I know there's so many people in my audience who actually need to understand this and to start living in alignment and creating in their business in alignment, especially as spiritual people and heart-centered and heart-led leaders. Now, the very first thing is that alignment is the state of being and living in congruence with your higher self. So it's like when your thoughts, when your beliefs, and when your actions are aligned to your higher self, that is when we say you are in alignment. So when you're in alignment, it's like everything that you do is in sync with who you are on the inside, right? Hi, Ingrid, thank you. If you're joining me live, let me know you are joining me from. So when you are creating in alignment, it means that everything that you are doing on the outside, right, it's an alignment and it's in sync with who you are on the inside, with your true self, your core self, and not your ego and not your higher self. So the very first thing, if you want to understand this, is that there is the ego part of you, right? And then there is the higher self. So it's not like a separate part of you. So your ego is just the part of self and the wounded theme, the wounded part of self, and the part of self that literally see itself as separate from everyone, right? So that is the first thing you want to understand. And then the higher self. So when you're out of alignment, most people are literally functioning from their ego and programming and conditioning rather than who they are on the inside. So when there's that harmony and then there's that synchronicity, you are in alignment. Now, what are the signs that you are out of alignment? The very first sign that to show that you are out of alignment is that you feel like you need to force things. You need to force things to make things to happen, right? You need to push, you need to grind. Like there's just a lot of forcing that needs to happen. And there's a sense of I need to be in control to make things happen. So now when this doesn't mean, right, that when you're in alignment, there's not going to be resistance. And I'm going to talk about that, right? But I just want to make sure I put the points to show that you're out of alignment for you to see. The second thing when you are out of alignment is this inner turmoil. So there's a lot, like there's unrest, and then there's lack of peace, and then there's anxiety, there's confusion. It's just that there's a lot of going on, right? And most of the time, this is as a result of you pushing the things and trying to make things happen, maybe probably in a way that is not really the way that your soul wants to function and your soul wants to be. But because maybe you've been conditioned that that is a way things should be done and you're functioning from the place of the ego, you just keep going, right? So again, the ego is not pride. The ego is just the part of self that was wounded and the part of self that is really just here trying to help us awaken, yeah? So that is what that looks like. And then the next thing, excuse me, the next thing when you are out of alignment is that your fulfillment is not there. So you might even push hard and you do the thing and it's working, but then you feel like that inner joy and that inner fulfillment is not really present. So that is a big sign when you're out of alignment. The next thing is that you can't surrender and trust, because there's this thing that you need to push, right? You need to push things, you need to make things happen and all of that. So it's like you're going against the natural forces, your natural self and your innate self. When I say natural, I don't mean physical, I mean like your innate and your higher self. So one of the things that you will notice is that there will be a disconnection probably between you and what you're doing. So this means that you will have to numb yourself in some areas, and sometimes this means that you have to suppress your emotions, and you will not really be connected to yourself. And when I say yourself, I mean that your deep self and who you are in alignment, right? So then what are the signs when you're in alignment? When you're in alignment, there's ease and flow. Like there's ease and flow. You don't try to make things happen. You just simply take aligned actions and things just happen naturally. Now, I want to be cautious here though. When you are in alignment, it doesn't mean that you're not going to face resistance, right? It doesn't mean that things are not going to be like you're not going to face things that will require you to lead yourself, because you're still going to face those times. You're still going to experience those times and those things that are going to require you to lead yourself and to be in your power in order to actually create the result that you want. But then is that it's gonna come with more easy. It's gonna be flow. There's gonna be flow and there's gonna be ease. And the next thing is that you're gonna feel inner peace and clarity. When you are in alignment, you feel inner peace, you feel clarity, and there's this sense of like, even when you're doing the thing, even if you're not seeing the result, is that there's this inner knowing that it's gonna work, and as a result, you just trust and surrender, and this brings you peace. And the next thing is that there's joy. You feel joy and fulfillment. So in whatever you're doing, right, and in whatever way you're living, you just feel happy. You just feel complete. You just feel free. You just feel joy. You just feel fulfillment. Like, and this joy wouldn't come from outcomes, right? It doesn't come from the things you've achieved, the things you've done, and the things you've had. Rather, it comes from you just being. It comes from you just existing. It comes from you just being there and just doing that thing. You see what I mean? So you are lit. That's what I mean. Like you are lit. You are literally on fire. And when I say on fire, it doesn't mean you're excited, but on the inside, there's joy. So it means that when you're doing something, for example, that is in alignment with you, you just feel lit. You just feel excited. You just feel like this is it. Like there's that knowing that feels like, ooh, this is it. And then whether people respond, they don't respond, whether the outside takes it or they don't, you just still feel fulfillment in doing that thing, right? So the one misconceptions though that we have is that when you are in alignment, you have to feel good all the time, right? Now, this is one thing I want to clarify. Being in alignment doesn't mean feeling good all the time, but it means feeling fulfillment, enjoy all the time, and having that inner peace. Feeling good is a very outside thing, right? It's a circumstantial kind of like power in something that comes as a result of the circumstances on the outside. So you can feel good if things are working well on the outside and all of that. But when you are in alignment, right, you are still going to face times that you need to lead yourself. Things that there are going to still be times when you need to lead yourself in order to make decision and take some actions, right? So then this means that you are going to require a lot of self-leadership to actually live in alignment. Living in alignment requires a lot of self-leadership, especially in the process, right? Which I'm going to talk about after now. Especially when you are in the process where you are trying to figure out what is really aligned for you and what is not, right? So then how do you get in alignment? How do you start being aligned? And so the first thing is that you need to know yourself. You need to have clarity about yourself. What word works for you, what doesn't work, and who your highest self is, and what your ego is like, right? So for example, for me personally, it will be like when I want to take a decision, I know how my ego, when that decision is from the ego, and I know when is that decision is really from the soul. So you want to ask yourself when you're walking in alignment, is this who am I? You need to know what are your values, right? And these are the things that you can journal about, like what is really important to you, right? What do you live by? Who is your highest self like who, like, and what do you want? What do you really want, right? And more than just what your ego wants, what does your soul want, right? Because there's things that our ego wants at times. Maybe our egos want success, our ego wants fame, our egos want to be seen. But deep down on the inside, what your soul might want is your soul desire connection, your soul desire abundance, your soul desire peace. So what do you really want, right? And then the next thing is that what is true for you at the soul level, right? So this is all about knowing yourself, because you can't live in alignment if you don't know yourself. So you have to be willing to go on the journey of figuring out yourself and understanding yourself, understanding what works for you, understanding what you want, understanding your purpose, understanding what your value are, understanding what you stand for, understanding what you don't stand for, right? So when you know yourself, then each time that you feel like you're out of alignment, you will realize that being out of alignment is literally being out of alignment with who I am at the core. It's acting out of synchrony, out of harmony with who I am. So but when you're in alignment, you act in synchrony and in harmony with who you are at the core. So the first step is always like, who are you, right? Who are you at the core? Because if we don't know that, then you're never going to know if you're in alignment. So know yourself and have clarity about what works for you, right? So that's the next step. When you know yourself, then you're going to have to really be honest, like, what works for me? In your business right now, what works for me? What works? And this goes beyond the superficial level of what works for me. But it's like, first of all, what is my purpose, for example, right? When you know what your purpose is, you now use your purpose as a measuring stick for everything that you are doing. And what works for me? What is the way that I feel lit? Well, I feel like I'm in the zone when I'm creating programs. What kind of business bundle would I then need in order to be in alignment? In order for it to work for me? Not what I've been taught, not what I've been conditioned, right? So if you want to live in alignment, you have to be willing to let go of what you think or what you've been told is the way, what other people have conditioned you to believe, and what people have taught you to believe. People might have told you that, okay, the only way to scale your business is by hiring a huge team or whatever. But then to you, that is not it. That is not it, because it's out of alignment with your values and with what you are here to do and how you are here to create. So knowing yourself is literally the core, the first step of being in alignment. So now the second thing is that you are going to experiment, be willing to experiment, right? So you have to experiment and be willing to get out of alignment first. So this is where most people don't want, but this is where you have to be. Now you need the self-leadership skills in order to be able to know when you are out of alignment and actually be willing to go on that journey of knowing when you're out of alignment, how it shows up for you, and then what to do to pivot and to create those changes when you are out of alignment. So you are going to go on a journey of experimenting. That is literally it. You're going to go on a journey of trying things. Don't be afraid to fail. And this is the thing. When you want to start creating an alignment, you have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to put yourself out there and look stupid, right? And for example, for me, it took a lot of trying so many business models, trying so many things, trying this, launching this, doing that, and doing different things, right, to see what works. And then when I see what works for me, then you now elevate that, and then you now focus on that and creating in that, right? Because what works for you is like deep at the soul level. This is what resonates with me and in my higher self. So that is what you're going to have to do. You have to be able to be willing to fail. Be willing to fail, be willing to do things when you feel led to. So this means that if you feel like, if you have the intuitive leading to take an action now, take that action. Take that action. You may not see the result that you're going to get from that action now, but even if you don't get the result that you desire from that action right now, the truth is that you are going to learn. That action is going to be like a portal or a channel through which you are going to learn what doesn't work for you and what works for you, right? Hi, Judea. If you're joining me live, please let me know in the chat. Hope you're having a great day. So that is how you're going to know. So be willing to experiment. Be willing to go on this journey of testing. Be willing to fail. And more than failing, you now have to build the inner self-leadership skill to be able to lead yourself from those failures and not make them mean that things are not working, but to make them mean that you are actually figuring out what works for you. So there's that figuring out phase that you have to be willing to go through, right? And it's literally the learning curve, and it's literally part of the journey. Because so if you don't embrace, if you don't want to be out of alignment, you are never really gonna go get in alignment. And this is the thing, you have to be willing to go out of alignment. And in order for you to go out of alignment, you have to be willing to be a student of yourself, a student of life, fail, succeed, do the things and not have the results. And then when you are out of alignment, you are now consciously realizing what really is and what really works for you and what is really in alignment with you and your true self. So be willing to go on that journey. Be willing. And when you are going out of alignment, it's not about being perfect, because this is the thing that is going to stop you from discovering what works for you. This thing of, oh, it has to be perfect. No, you don't have to be perfect. And perfectionism is an illusion of the mind and the ego to keep us stuck. Because when you want to be perfect, it's because there's a version of self that you want to portray and you want to be seen as that may not be who you are at the moment. And this is why being willing to be a student, even as a leader, being willing to be a student and not being ashamed to share your journey, where you are on your journey, and to let other people see your flaws and see that you are also leading through this journey is actually the thing. So you have to be willing to, okay, I'm learning, I'm figuring it out, and then you can communicate with the people, communicate that, trust that people are also understanding and watching your leadership. Because as a spiritual leader, you're still growing. As an entrepreneur, you're still growing. You're still on your own evolution and expansion process. And because you're still growing and you're still on this evolution and expansion process, it's going to require you, hi, Sabi, how are you? It's going to require you to actually take action, fail, pivot, take action, fail, learn what doesn't work for you and pivot. And that is it. So when you do that, you are actually going to start noticing okay, what doesn't work for me? What doesn't work for me? And so the next thing now is that you're going to focus on how you feel. So you're going to take action. You're going to take these actions, right? So start taking action. Those little nuggets that you have, those intuitive leading, take action. And when you take these actions, notice how you feel. Focus on how they feel in your body. How do they land in your body more than what it looks and the results that it brings, right? So your attention is going to go a little bit inward. Your attention is going to go inward. Like, okay, for example, I'm doing a live stream. How do I feel in the process? This is exciting for me. I love this, and I also love writing. But then when I sit there, I'm recording videos. How does that feel? Most of the time, it feels like I have to push through. I have to push through some things, and it's the same with my programs. I've noticed that for me, for example, in terms of my business model, which is something I've been tweaking and pivoting, and finally it landed, is that I love teaching people live. I love having people live right there, and then I have that connection with them, and I feel like I'm talking to them. I find the process of recording videos for courses, for example, creating pre-recorded courses, I find it really hard and really like it just feels, not that I don't have the skill set to do it, right? But it feels tense in my body. It just feels tense. And then when I am, for example, delivering a program live, and there are people there that I'm talking to, now I feel the flow. I feel like there's no resistance, and it feels like in that moment I'm a channel and things are just coming through, right? So then what does that mean? That means for me as a leader that my program needs to be pivoted to be more focused on that. So that is literally how, so you have to be willing to now take those actions and try the things and focus on how it feels for you. How does it feel in your body? How does it land? Is it like, yeah, I can do it, but it doesn't really feel like it's it for me? Or like, I'm living like this, yeah, it's good, but it doesn't really feel like it for me. It's like there's no, that lead energy is not there, that expansion, that open heart, that it's not really there, right? So when you have to be willing to take action. So don't be unwilling to take action. Take action and then elevate the actions that worked. Now, not that brought results, because that's different. It's not about bringing results, though that could be part of it, but the actions that felt good and felt like it comes from you, so felt like it resonates with your higher self, like it resonates with who you are on the inside, right? So you're going to focus on how things feel in your body. Forget about the result that they bring. Yes, they bring good result, and that should be part of the result. But when you are overly in your head, right, you are going to overly create and live in a way that you've been told, because it's in the head, than what feels aligned for you, because it's in the body, right? So now you're gonna face challenges and resistance, and then you're gonna, on your journey, you are going to have to make decisions. You're going to have to decide on things, right? And in those decision making, you want to be able, which is the next step, you want to be able to be willing to listen to your intuition rather than your head. So the next step is listen to your intuition and not your head. What have you been led into, right? And do you have the self-leadership to be willing to boldly take those actions without making them wrong, and being willing to go through the experiment and the experience of going through those actions and then seeing the result that it's going to bring. So you're going to take actions from your intuition and not your head. So the first thing is that you need to know the difference between your intuition and your head. So your intuition is the voice of your spirit, or is the voice of your higher self within. And your intuition is your logic, which comes as your analytical mind, right? And your intuition is literally the spirit, God, source, communicating with you, and literally who you are at the core. So when you want to make a decision, because you're going to have to make decisions in order to get in alignment, you're going to have to make changes, you're going to have to learn new things. You have to ask yourself, is this my intuition or is this my mind? And most of the times when it's your intuition, you may not really know why, but it's just a knowing. It's just knowing. You just know you have to make that decision. But when it is your mind, there are reasons to it. You analyze the situation. You see the reasons why you should and you shouldn't. You see how you should and you shouldn't. Like, it makes sense. So, but when it makes sense, most of the time, what makes sense is may not be in alignment. But what feels in your body, again, and what just feels right is what is in alignment. So it may not make sense, but it may feel right. And when it doesn't make sense and you feel right, probably that is what you should be doing, and that is the direction that you should be taking. So you have to follow your intuition when it's hard. You have to follow your intuition when it doesn't make sense. And this is where you need to lead yourself in order to be led by spirit, in order to be led by God, and in order to be led by your higher self. Your intuition is going to get you to do things at a time that doesn't make sense. You might get an intuitive leading to, oh, whatever you're doing right now, stop it. And it doesn't make sense to the brain, because to the brain, that job or that offer or that direction that you're taking is successful right now. But it's off. It's off. It's not in alignment with, it's not in sync with your higher self. And then you're going to get an intuitive nugget to, oh, change this thing or do this. And in that moment, your brain is going to be like, no, this is what I live for. No, this is what I've been doing. This is what has been working. But when you get that leading and you are able to, every time you make an intuitive decision, you're literally getting in alignment, more and more in alignment, right? So you need to literally be able to lead yourself to get in alignment. You need to be able to lead yourself and see what works for you and what doesn't work for you in order to get in alignment. If not, you are not going to be able to get in alignment, because being in alignment will require you getting out of the head and getting into the body, getting out of the head and getting into the heart, getting out of the head and getting into the soul, right? So what level of self-leadership then can you hold? Can you hold to make the changes when you feel led to, when you have that intuitive leading, right? What then do you need to do to go from the hustle, grind hard, in actually living in alignment? So the thing is, you have to lead yourself in order to be in alignment. You have to be able to tap in your personal power all the time and trust that, okay, because this is what I feel like it feels right for me to do, I am going to do it. Because it's in alignment with my values. It's in alignment with what I stand for. It's in alignment with my soul. It may not look good and it may not make sense even to my brain right now, but I choose this because it feels like it's what I should be doing right now. So that is the we're creating an alignment. So when you are creating an alignment, there's going to be flow. Making money is going to feel easy. And it doesn't mean that challenges may not come, but the challenges that will come will be the challenge that require you to lead yourself to actually follow through in the direction that you know that you should. Because here's the thing. You might get, for example, what might be in alignment might be you leaving a place. And you know you should do that. Because that place doesn't resonate with your values, with who you are, with your soul, and what you feel called to do. Right? So the challenges that are going to come is going to be from you having to obey that decision and go in alignment and take action that are aligned to that. Because when you take actions that are aligned to that, when you are not able, because your brain is going to come up with stories, and then your fear, anxiety, things are going to come up as a result that you need to lead yourself through as a result of you desiring to go in that direction. So this then means that leading yourself and living in alignment doesn't mean living challenge free. The challenge comes in you obeying and walking in that alignment. And when you know how to lead yourself, when you know how to shut the mind and listen to your intuition, when you know how to listen to your soul, and you keep doing this over and over again, it becomes a very easy process. And each time you see yourself going out of alignment, you know how to do what to do to pivot. You know exactly what to do to pivot, because now you understand that it's not like a perfect thing. It's a journey of learning what doesn't work for you and what works for you. So again, you have to know yourself. Who are you? What do you really want? What is important to you? And then now, can you make every decision in alignment to that? Because then that's how you stay in alignment. And each time that you watch yourself go out of alignment, doing the things that are not really aligned to, that doesn't feel like it's what you should be doing, that is not in your higher self, that is not in your calling, that is not in your energy, that is not in your vibe, that is not all of those things, can you now pivot and come back? Can you now pivot and come back to what works for you? And this is the secret to creating effortlessly. So making money becomes easy, attracting the partner becomes easy, because then you're not trying to push, you're following the flow and you're following the current and you're letting your higher self guide you. So that is it for living and creating in alignment and what it entails. So what it entails is self-leadership. What it entails is being able to listen to your intuition. What it entails is courage to make decisions and move in the direction that you feel led to. And what it entails is learning to listen and know yourself. That's what it entails. You need to know yourself. Know yourself at the core. And this is like what is really your self-mastery, what is important to you, and all of those things. So that is it for this video. Hope that was helpful. And there's a difference between resistance and being out of alignment. Oh no, there's one thing I remember. Each time that you are, there's a difference between being out of alignment and having a resistance. So a resistance is literally a mind approach